Can Cordyceps tea help with focus? My ADHD-friendly review. Hello and welcome. In today's video, we're diving into a question I've been curious about for quite some time. Can Cordyceps tea help with focus? As someone managing ADHD, I know firsthand how challenging staying focused can be. So when I came across Cordyceps tea, a wellness trend being praised for enhancing natural energy and mental clarity, I knew I had to give it a try. This video is all about my personal experience with Cordyceps tea. By the end, you'll know whether this mushroom-based brew is worth a sip, or if it's just not your cup of tea. Let's jump in. If you've never heard of Cordyceps before, no worries. I'll start with the basics. Cordyceps is a type of fungus, often referred to as a medicinal mushroom, with deep roots in traditional Chinese and Tibetan medicine. In ancient times, it was valued for its energy-boosting and immune-supporting properties. Fast forward to today, Cordyceps is popping up in teas, powders, and supplements, marketed for its potential to improve stamina, recovery, and yes, mental clarity. That last part is what caught my eye. As someone managing ADHD, maintaining focus and energy feels like an endless juggling act, so natural solutions always pique my interest. The question is, can Cordyceps live up to the hype? And more importantly, is it effective for ADHD brains? To answer this, I decided to test it out myself. For those of us with ADHD, everyday challenges can feel like scaling a mountain. Struggling with focus, managing impulsivity, and staying motivated are common hurdles. While treatment often includes medication, therapy, or structured routines, many people explore additional natural remedies. Cordyceps tea caught my attention because of its reputation for enhancing focus and reducing fatigue. The idea that it could provide sustained energy, a smooth, non-jittery kind, and help sharpen mental clarity sounded like something worth investigating. But let me be upfront here. ADHD management is highly personal. What works wonders for some might be ineffective for others. My goal is to share an honest, first-hand review to help you decide if Cordyceps tea could be useful in your journey. To get a full understanding of Cordyceps tea, I conducted a personal experiment. I drank it daily for 2 weeks and kept track of its effects on my focus, energy levels, and overall productivity. Here's how I structured my test. I drank 1 cup of Cordyceps tea each morning, either before starting work or studying. My primary goal was to see if it improved my focus and ability to stay on task. I also paid attention to how it made me feel, whether it provided smooth energy, heightened mental clarity, or any side effects. Of course, I also tried to keep realistic expectations. This wasn't about finding a magical cure for ADHD. It was simply an exploration to see if Cordyceps tea could serve as a helpful tool in my ADHD toolkit. Let's talk about the tea itself. If you've never had Cordyceps tea, the first thing you should know is that it has a very earthy flavor. Think of mushrooms, but in a subtle, tea-like infusion. After my first cup, I was paying close attention to any immediate effects. Did I feel energized? Focused? Honestly, there wasn't a dramatic shift right away. However, I did notice a gentle boost in alertness after about 30 minutes. This wasn't like the jolt you get from coffee. It felt smoother, more balanced. That alone intrigued me enough to keep going. Now, let's move on to what happened over the 2 weeks. Drinking Cordyceps tea daily gave me a clearer picture of its potential benefits. One of the most noticeable effects was the steady, sustained energy I experienced. Unlike caffeine, which sometimes makes me jittery or causes an energy crash, Cordyceps tea provided a calm yet invigorating feeling. This was especially helpful during long study sessions or busy workdays. As someone with ADHD, maintaining consistent energy is half the battle. Cordyceps tea seemed to help here. It didn't make me hyperproductive, but it gave me the stamina to push through tasks without feeling drained. When it came to mental focus, the effects weren't as dramatic, but there were moments where I felt more in the zone than usual. For instance, during a particularly grueling writing session, I noticed I was able to stay engaged for longer periods. Of course, it's hard to say whether all of this was because of the tea or simply a placebo effect. That said, even the possibility of improved focus made the tea feel like a supportive companion during my daily routine. Aside from focus and energy, there were a few other things I noticed about Cordyceps tea. One unexpected perk was a subtle sense of calmness. While Cordyceps isn't traditionally known as a stress relief herb, the ritual of drinking tea itself felt grounding. This was a welcome bonus, especially on busier days. I also appreciated that the tea didn't interfere with my appetite or sleep. As someone who can be sensitive to stimulants, this was a big plus. Now for the drawbacks. For starters, Cordyceps tea can be a bit pricey compared to regular teas. Its availability can also vary depending on where you shop, though it's becoming more common in health stores and online. Finally, while the benefits were noticeable, they weren't life-changing. It's not a substitute for ADHD medication or other proven management tools. It's simply an additional option to consider. Let's quickly touch on the science. While there's still limited research on Cordyceps tea specifically, some studies suggest that Cordyceps mushrooms may improve cellular energy production by increasing ATP levels. ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is essentially the energy currency of our cells. Improved energy metabolism might explain why Cordyceps tea feels so smooth and steady compared to caffeine. There's also emerging evidence that Cordyceps may support cognitive function indirectly by reducing fatigue. While more research is needed, the early findings are promising. To put things into context, I compared Cordyceps tea to other focus-enhancing options I've tried, including coffee and ADHD medication. Coffee. While coffee provides a quick energy boost, it often makes me jittery or anxious. Cordyceps tea, on the other hand, felt gentler and didn't result in any crashes. Medication. ADHD medication remains the most effective tool for managing my symptoms, but it's not always practical for those deeper, long-form focus sessions. Cordyceps tea felt like a complementary solution rather than a replacement. For me, the tea occupies a middle ground, not as potent as medication, but more sustainable and calming than coffee. If you're interested in trying Cordyceps tea, here are some tips to get started. Start with a small amount. 1 cup a day is a great starting point to see how your body reacts. Enhance the flavor. If the earthy taste isn't for you, try adding honey, ginger, or almond milk for a smoother experience. Be consistent. Like most natural remedies, effects might take time to build. You probably won't feel major changes after 1 cup. Also, be sure to check with your healthcare provider before adding new supplements to your routine, especially if you have pre-existing conditions or take medication. So, is Cordyceps tea worth trying for focus and ADHD management? In my opinion, yes, but with some caveats. It won't replace proven treatments, but it can be a helpful tool for enhancing focus and energy in a natural, sustainable way. If you're a tea lover or someone looking for alternatives to caffeine, it's definitely worth a sip. That said, everyone's body chemistry is unique, and your experience might differ from mine. Ultimately, ADHD management is about finding what works best for you. Thanks for joining me on this experiment with Cordyceps tea. I hope my review gave you some clarity on whether this earthy beverage has a place in your routine. If you've tried Cordyceps tea before, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did it help you focus, or was it just another trendy drink? Drop your experiences in the comments below, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Until next time, take care and stay curious. Let's keep exploring ways to thrive, ADHD and all. Cheers!